Hello, beautiful soul family. I am so excited to share with you that today is going to be we're going to talk about letting go of how it should be. And this video is a perfect example of the journey that I have gone through in letting go of how you're supposed to do it versus how it just flows through. So many of us struggle with having to do it right, to figuring out what is the right way. And unfortunately, trying to do it the right way very much is connected to unhealed trauma. And it is very constricting. It is very restricting. And it cuts us off from the divine flow of what is designed to move through us. Now, as an example, being on YouTube and studying the right way to do it, learning from the professionals. They have all sorts of ways to say, this is the form of communication you should use, and this is the script you should write, and this is the format. And you have to come up with a thumbnail first, and you have to know your title first. And they have all of these rules around how you should do things. I don't necessarily want to say that learning those things was completely invaluable. Certainly some of those strategies have been ingrained at a subconscious level, but trying to perform things perfectly to the T has been very restrictive. Am I supposed to read the script? Am I supposed to film it all at one time without making any mistakes? Do I have to go back and cut out certain things? How much B-roll? How much music? How loud should the music be? And even right down to, do I read from a teleprompter, or is it okay for me to look to the left or look at a sticky note that's up above? All of these things, you can see how the walls just close in on us and restrict us and keep us from flowing through life the way that we should. And come to find out, those of us who've experienced complex trauma are going to struggle with this even more because we might have a high level of neuroticism that will come with that unhealed trauma. And for anyone who likes to throw that word around and use it to beat you over the head, that just essentially means we worry a little bit more. We have a little bit more anxiety. We might struggle with decisions or struggle with staying focused on a decision that we did make. We might seem like we flip-flop and waffle a lot. And essentially that is just because we get caught in that hamster wheel of constant thought, trying to figure out, am I doing it right? Is there a better way? Am I using the right strategy? We're constantly planning in our head and trying things on, trying to see, is this working? Is this not working? And because life is like a box of chocolates, because life is kind of like making soup, or we are alchemists essentially. We are taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that and combining it to make our soup called life. But if you're anything like me, you just keep piling on more and more and more, which adds to the stress, which adds to the pressure, which adds to the anxiety. And then we try to tell ourselves I'm going to accomplish more, but actually we accomplish less because we have taken on too much in an effort to do it right or to prove that we're valuable and worthy, good enough, essentially, at the end of the day. We just want to feel justified. We want to feel safe in the rightness. And all we're really doing is keeping ourselves stuck. We get confused. We might freeze. All trauma responses, right? We might fawn to others who seem to have it all figured out. We might fight to argue with them and prove our point, or to make things fit for us that just aren't a fit. And then we end up running and constantly on the go, trying to do all the things that we should be doing. And at some point, we have to really take a step back and detach and become that distant observer who looks down and says, what is really the root cause of this problem here? It's not having the right solution. It's not working for us to try to find the right thing. It's not working to do what they say you should do. So we have to realize when things are not working for us and be willing to shift. At the end of the day, creation or manifestation requires that we are focused on one thing and we hold our focus in that direction. I love the analogy that Katie Childs used. And she says it's kind of like an energy paint gun, right? And I've had this sense that our hearts are the projector, right? So we are projecting from our being the things that we are creating. But if we're constantly going, this is the right thing, this is the right thing. Oh, wait, no, this is the right thing, this is the right thing. Oh, wait, no, I should do this, I should do this. Oh, wait, no. you can see how our focus gets diffused. And instead of being like a powerful laser, we're a diffused light bulb, right? So this flip-flopping and this constant trying to figure out what's the right thing to do is what keeps us stuck. And then we add to it social media, which is sucking our focus and attention and directing it in all sorts of different ways, filling our heads with everyone else's opinions. And a lot of times, especially in days like today or this times like these recent months and years, it creates fear in the face of disaster or calamity or chaos or malevolence. Sometimes we even physically freeze in our state of being. The stagnation is not just physical, but it's also energetic because we keep moving our focus around. This is the beautiful part about the neuroscience and trauma program that I am in. They talk a lot about the different functions of the brain, and some of which are eyesight. Come to find out, the eyes are considered part of the brain, and memory. And when we look at the way the brain functions, we start to see so many different areas pointing to the evidence that there is no one right way. And I realize that can be really controversial for a lot of people, especially people who have clung to a religion or a belief or a dogma that makes them feel safe and justified. And when we take that away, it's like shaking the foundation of everything they've built their lives on. Neuroscience tells us, we'll just use eyesight for an example. The way you perceive and receive vision is a beautiful example and testament to how there is no one right way. When our eyes see a visual, both eyes take in a portion of that visual, not a full picture, but a portion. And then that image is taken into the eyes and flipped upside down and projected on the back of your, we'll say, eyeball for the sake of easy learning today. Then that image is pixelated. All of the different parts of that image are broken down and sent to different areas of the brain, where the brain then reassembles everything and tries to make a picture of it. Now, I should back up and say those two portions of the visual that were put into the eyes are matched up, and there is a hole in the middle where that missing piece of the visual is. And the brain, when it puts everything back together, fills in the hole based on previous experience and perception and belief systems. So what that tells us is the way you see something is always going to be different than how they see something. And the way everyone else sees something is going to be very different than the way I see something. Even colors can vary based on the person and the receptors in the eye that are dedicated to that certain color. So if you have stared at something that is blue for a very long time, and then you look at something that is turquoise, you're going to see a different variation of that turquoise than the person who just looks at the turquoise, because that area of your eye that is designed to receive the blue signal is tired. And when it is fatigued, it relies on the other parts of the eyes that receive yellow and red. And so you're going to see more yellow and red in that turquoise than someone who has not stared at something that is blue. Let's also add the example of memory. They did a study after 9/11. There was a research team who was prepared for an event like this. They had been waiting for a mass event where they could interview a lot of different people and research how memories are stored and to what level they are accurate. So the team acted quickly after 9/11 and interviewed a lot of different people from one place and many people from many different places. Now, the individuals who were interviewed, who were all in the same place, who all technically witnessed the same exact event, all had different memories from what was experienced. None of them had exact or perfect memories to what actually happened. Now, they also did follow-up research where the memories were evaluated incrementally, days, weeks, months, and years after the event. Each time they were interviewed, the memory had changed. So again, this is telling us if we are made perfectly as we are intended to be made by the creator of the universe, this is intelligent design. There is a function. There is a reason that we are designed this way. And if there was one right truth and one right way, and everyone was supposed to live exactly as this one right truth or right way suggests, then why do we all perceive things differently? Why do we all remember things differently? Why do we all have unique needs? Why do we all have unique fingerprints? Why does one person experience trauma and another not when they have experienced the same exact event? We are not designed to live a certain way. There is not something that we should do. So you get to decide what this means to you. But for me personally, it means there is no one right way. There is no should. And it is safe to trust the guidance of the desires of my heart that were put there by the divine. The perfect design, made perfectly imperfect for the purpose and the function that I am here to achieve. Yes, to some level, we have to be honest with ourselves and say, just because I want to do this thing doesn't make it right. You have internal guidance systems that are there to help you discern what is truly right and what is not for you. You can also ask for guidance from the divine. But many times I've noticed if I'm asking the divine, tell me what to do, tell me what's the right way, the response I get is you have everything you need within you. What this means to me is that the divine wants us to learn to trust ourselves, to trust our emotional guidance system. The sensations in the body are your emotion, and they are there to guide you towards thriving. Your purpose is thriving. So we get to let go of the evidence outside of us that it's not working or it's working for someone else. And we can remove ourselves and pull back into that higher perspective and notice that the evidence that we see in the physical realm in front of us is actually just an echo of the past, an echo of how I was feeling, an echo of how I was behaving, an echo of what I was believing. What is here right now in front of me is not a determining factor of what should or should not be, or what will or will not be. It is evidence of what I created in the past. And this frees me up to look within and gauge how well am I doing based on what I'm experiencing right now inside of me. We are asked to believe in ourselves enough to feel good and to know that that feeling good is a sign that we are on the right path. We get to love ourselves enough to listen to our body and to honor our needs and to acknowledge those parts who are saying, hey, something's not working for me. We get to love ourselves enough, knowing that that will lead to connection to the divine, connection to others, service through thriving. I love the biblical story of the disciples and Jesus in the boat. And the disciples got very afraid and they said, Jesus, save us. And he turned to them and he said, why are you afraid? That he was saying to them, you can calm the winds and the waves. And then Jesus turned and said, peace, be still. I love that water is a representation of the emotion and the internal chaos that we can experience when it seems stormy. That storm is within us. And our job is to calm the wind and the waves within us, to be at peace and to find stillness with all that you are and exactly where you are, knowing that you are not off track, you're not in the wrong place, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just going through your process of coming to understand that it is safe to trust the guidance of the desires of your heart. Yes, of course, we want to stay connected to God and to follow the example that Christ laid out for us, to live in peace, to give love, to sit in stillness. And so that reminds us that anytime we're feeling the fear of what should I be doing, or that internal chaos of I'm not doing it right, reminds us that we get to believe in infinite grace and trust the inner guidance of the desires of our heart. Sometimes we have to walk through all the different levels and the layers of fear. What if I lose my friends? What if people make fun of me? What if that religious group says I'm a sinner and I'm going to burn in the lake of fire forever? What if God actually is vengeful and wants 95% of his children to burn? Walk through those fears. Does it feel right for you? I'll acknowledge growing up in a religious home has really brought a lot of that to the surface in this day and age. But one by one, we will walk through that fear. We get to talk to God about it. We get to ask for clarity. We can ask for eyes to see and ears to hear. Meditate on the things that don't make sense. And know clarity will come. Answers are provided. And we are again promised that if you seek, you will find. Knock and the doors will be open. With each fear that is resolved, we have less resistance, moving us closer to the desires of our heart. Remember, desire plus non-resistance will equal the desired result. And it is not wrong to want to be happy. It is not better to suffer. It is not more spiritual to be poor. Remember, the tide rises all boats. The more you thrive, the more you're able to help others around you. You are not less than others. We're going through the phases of discerning clarity. You are not wrong for trying on a belief or a strategy. In fact, they tell us to fail early and fail often. And remember, it is safe to trust the guidance of the desires of your heart. Now, I've said that enough times. I really need to give credit to Amanda Francis for that phrase. It is profoundly powerful. It is safe to trust God, source, divine creator, who loves you very much. They will not let you fail. You can rest in peace. You cannot mess it up. Let go of all the shoulds and all the rules. Be willing to follow your heart. Have good and right intention. Yes, do the right thing. But if you're doing that, it's going to be okay. And if you're still struggling with that whole physical evidence piece, if it looks like what's in front of me is reality and this is just how it is, then definitely check out the 3D rules versus 5D rules video that will help you clarify how to play the game called life the way that they didn't teach us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and definitely share if there's anyone that could benefit from this. I love you very much, friends. Namaste.